got sent to the principal's office, and the principal told me there's no capitalism in middle school. And at the time, I didn't know what she meant, but that stayed with me. And then years later, I was like, oh, I didn't know what capitalism was when I was like, between the ages of 10 and 12, right? But yeah, she shut down my operation, unfortunately.
Hey, sales hunters, welcome to season 2 of Beyond the Business Plan, where heart meets hustle and every episode inspires you on your entrepreneurial journey. I'm LeAnn Lyon, and together we'll chart new courses, tackle challenges, and celebrate those big wins with expert guests, honest stories, and plenty of joy along the way. If you love the show, tap follow, subscribe, leave a quick review, or join our conversation with hashtag JoyMinder, because your support helps us reach and inspire more entrepreneurs. Set sail on your business adventure with Beyond the Business Plan. My guest today is a nationally recognized dementia consultant who partners with senior living companies across the country and even internationally. She is the author of 3 acclaimed dementia caregiving books published by Johns Hopkins Press and is currently seeking an agent for her 4th project, a little bit different, which is a comedic business memoir. Since 2016, after being laid off, she has devoted herself wholeheartedly to building her own company. Please welcome Rachael Wonderlin. Rachael, are you there?
Hi, thanks for having me.
So
Happy to be here.
I'm so excited that you are here. So you mentioned that you were laid off in 2016.
Yeah.
Was it a W-2?
Well, it was. Yeah, I was full time. I was full time, 9 to 5, more like 8 to 6, at a dementia care community. So that was, at that point, that was my 3rd building. So I'd been a dementia care director for couple of years. And I'd moved up to Pennsylvania from North Carolina. I was working as a dementia care director. My book was coming out in like 6 months. And I really think that the boss I had at the time didn't really like that I had a book coming out. And I had a couple gigs here and there that were like speaking gigs, that she was well aware of, which were not in conflict at all with my position. But I think it bothered her that I was doing these things. So she started looking for reasons to get rid of me. I could tell from how she was treating me that she was beginning to look for reasons to get rid of me, and couldn't really find a good one, but did eventually lay me off. Yeah.
Wow, I'm so sorry. That's painful. Was that your first book that you were writing at that point?
Yes. Yeah. And so it was a big, I felt a lot of uh shame around being laid off, because I was like, oh, I have this book coming out about being a dementia care director, and yet here I am being laid off as a dementia care director. Like, am I just a total fraud? And so I had to kind of work through that guilt and anxiety about the book coming out. And the book was coming out in November. This is November 2016. And I got laid off in late August, early September. So I didn't have that long before the book was coming out to like, kind of come up with a plan for what I was going to do next.
Yeah, you mean, for that thing called income?
Mhm. Yes, that thing.
That thing. Yeah, that's a lot of stress.
It was
Um,
stressful. Fortunately, I was young and had very low overhead at the time. I didn't have kids. I had just had like a pretty inexpensive apartment. I had 2 cats. I had at the time a boyfriend, but that was really it. So
mhm.
I had like wiggle room that I felt like, okay, I can finally do this entrepreneurial thing that I've been wanting to do. I can give it a try. And, if it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world, because I was collecting unemployment and I picked up a caregiving job to kind of supplement my entrepreneurial efforts.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, as entrepreneurs, we tend to be pretty scrappy people. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's part of the job description effectively. Like if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to be scrappy. And so when I meet people who, they'll say to me, I want to, I don't want to work for somebody. I want to work for myself. Like, what business should I start? And I say, really, you're asking the wrong question or set of questions. It shouldn't be what business should I start, but like, hey, I'm really passionate about ABC, so I'm going to start the ABC business. You can't just wake up one morning and be like, I'm going to start a business, because it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I really feel like you have to come in with passion in an area,
Yeah.
and not just passion in the area, but entrepreneurial skills, which is a skill set that most people don't have.
Hmm. Right.
And part of that is being really tenacious and tough and scrappy and willing to um, take some pretty calculated risks that it might not pay off.
Yep, for sure. I mean, I know people who have been in similar situations, and including myself. I'll tell you, I wasn't laid off, but my business was just going through a moment, if you will. And my husband and I ended up driving Uber for a little while, in addition, just so that
Mhm.
we could continue until we got through the hump of what we knew we needed to do. And when especially once you have employees, there's a huge responsibility that you take on if you take on employees. This is why I encourage new entrepreneurs, don't do it. Even to the effect of taking on a VA. I mean, if you can do it, don't take on a VA until you can afford the VA, because you're really taking on the responsibility of another life. And I know you have a VA because she helped connect us, and that was lovely. And there's so many benefits to doing that. But how long did it take you before you brought somebody into your business like that?
It took a while. And I first hired somebody that I knew,
Yeah.
who was a friend. And this can go really one of two ways. And unfortunately, at the time, it went the bad way,
Oh.
which is that, she was somebody who really like couldn't find another job. And I guess there was a reason that she couldn't really find another job. So I was like, oh, I don't have a lot of money to like pay somebody to help me. I'll take a chance on this woman. And she was really bad at having a job. Like she just was really bad at working for me. And at that time, this is probably 2018, I felt like maybe this is me. Like maybe I'm bad at being a boss. Like I'm bad at explaining things. And in years, years have gone by, and I've realized, no, it actually was not me. It was very much her, because I've had now team members. After she worked for me for a bit and it just did not work out, I had somebody else that didn't work out. Had somebody else that didn't work out. And at some point in there, a couple of those women were W-2. So I actually had like for real employee. And that was a big mistake for me. But it was a learning opportunity. I realized, because I have such a flexible, company that is primarily online, um, keeping track of their hours in the way that you need to do for a W-2 employee is just not gonna work. Or am I saying W-9? I'm saying W-2, right?
Me
Like an
too. Yep.
employee.
Yeah.
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 So I realized 1099, like contracting, is the way to go for my business. So at this
Mhm.
point, all of my team members are contractors, and it is much better. And I think I've also figured out how and who to hire for these
Mhm.
roles. And so the people that have been with me or with me now have been with me for a number of years. And
Excellent.
so the relationship and everything is just way better.
Yeah. I learned long ago, I am not the person to do the hiring, if at all possible.
Mm,
Now, it's not always possible, and you have to then just figure it out. But I love everybody. And that's a problem. If you're a person who loves everybody, you
yeah.
have a hard time sifting and sorting and finding the really best qualified people.
Yes.
I mean, even in my most recent hire, who came through somebody that I trust to bring me qualified people. But she brought me three, and the first person I talked to was like, I love her, I want her, I want to hire her now. I almost hired her before telling this person I was going to hire her. She's like, you've got two more to talk to. I'm like, oh,
Whoops.
I did. And I still ended up hiring the first person. And I have no regrets. She's very
Okay, good. Good.
entrepreneurial. But sometimes looking for a team member who's entrepreneurial is advantageous, and sometimes it's not. So knowing which personality you're really looking for. Do you use any particular um, eh, um, things to, what am I thinking of?
Hire like a personality
Yeah,
test or something.
personality test, right?
I didn't. And probably especially like back in the day, that would have been helpful.
Sure.
I did have somebody who came to me. I have people coming to me occasionally, less now, but people used to come to me and be like, Rachel, I want to do what you do. I want to be a dementia consultant too. Can I work for you?
Oh,
And one woman I did bring on as kind of like a trial run, and she was terrible because she really wanted to be doing her own thing. Like she really wanted to be running
yeah.
her own business, but didn't have the skills to run her own business.
Mhm.
And she would be like, okay, I have like this much time to work on these projects. And I would go, okay, great. So I'd give her stuff to do, and she would turn it in late, or I'd be pinging her like, hey, where's this thing? And um, yeah, just and and pretty quickly after I said, hey, this isn't working out. I saw on LinkedIn that she had gone back to 9 to 5
Oh,
employment, but had made this ridiculous LinkedIn post that I've seen many times over, some version of this, which was like, oh, only XYZ company could have brought me out of self-employment. It's like, girl, you weren't self-employed. Like you
right,
worked for me and then you did some gig stuff on the side. Like you were
right.
never self-employed. Stop pretending that you
Yeah,
were ever self-employed, because that to me is just so bizarre and false. And it drives me crazy when people like the subterfuge right around like if they actually were self-employed. Oh, why did I just freeze? There we go.
yeah. You're back. Oh, good.
Oh, good.
It was fun though.
Yeah. I
Always that
was
heart
doing
stop
something with
moment, like
my,
ah.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
happened. Yeah, in fact, I've had a conversation. You use the word team. I do as well.
Mm-hmm.
The people I bring in specialists now. I don't bring in one person that I'm expecting to be able to do multiple things when I can hire somebody who loves to do graphics, and I can hire somebody who loves to do social media, and I can hire somebody who loves to do communication. You
Mm-hmm.
can do that, and there's, ways to do that as well. I do remind them though that they do, even though they report their hours and I pay them hourly, that they really are in business for themselves, along with in business to promote my business. They're working for me because they don't want to work for a traditional 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
because they can go to their mom's house and work. If they're, if one of them has a older family member
Mm-hmm.
that they want to take care of occasionally. Well, guess what? She can do that and work for me part time.
Right.
And so in many ways they are entrepreneurial, but you just have to, be able to track. I know one past team member, I know she was just billing me because I
Oh.
wasn't really seeing the results. I've had that happen in person though too. I hired somebody even when I had a manufacturing company who was like, "Oh yeah, I wrote this blog, I wrote this thing, I did this stuff." And I'm like, "Well, where is it? I don't see it on the server." "Oh, I have it." And I'm like, it needs to be on the server by Thursday." And it wasn't, and that was the last day she worked with me.
Oh man.
But
Yeah,
she'd been
it's
billing me all along.
and that's the thing too. This whole like, oh, we got to bring people back to the office. It's like people can still, pretend that they're working when they're not working if you're not
Yeah.
seeing the results. And that was what was happening
Yeah.
for me with some previous team members, was that they were like writing down all these hours they were working, and yet I wasn't really seeing anything out of them. I'm like, what are
Yeah.
you doing with this time? Like
Yeah.
maybe you're sitting in front of your computer, but if you're getting distracted every 30 seconds by a text or like a Facebook message, like you're not actually working that
Right.
time. You're just sitting at your desk.
Yep,
It's not the same
exactly.
thing as
Yeah.
working. Yes.
And for anybody listening now getting all stressed out, like I can't do this because this podcast really is for people who are considering entrepreneurship. You're thinking about it. You want, Rachel's book is going to be awesome because there are some funny, enlightening, maybe you want to share one of those stories in a little bit, but
Sure.
fun things about being an entrepreneur. There is the freedom, there is the flexibility, there is following your passion, which Rachel, you've already talked about. Following your passion is super important. And I will put a caveat. You don't always know what that is.
Mm,
And so again, working with somebody, maybe this is what I say all the time. Maybe you feel a calling in your heart not to be that thing you trained for when you were 20 years old, but you do know you want to be more free, more independent, more whatever, and you want to explore entrepreneurship, but you don't exactly know where. Well, Joyminder helps you with that. So my company, we will help people say, look, do you like legally breaking into people's houses? You could be a real estate agent.
mm.
Oh, did I say that out loud? That's not really what it is, of course. But it did feel that way the first time I
Yeah.
unlocked the door of an empty house legally.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is a really trippy thing. Or travel agent, or, there's a lot of l low bar entries into entrepreneurship that still kind of have the security of a beaten path.
Hmm.
It's not hard to know how to be a travel agent, a real estate agent, and to do some of the other things. But if you do feel a passion for creating a widget, you have an idea, you're an inventor, you're a coach, then we can help you with those types of things as
Hmm.
well. And by all means, you have to have a passion for it.
Yes. And the passion has to align with something that can turn a profit. I very recently I'm on a couple subreddits of like business and entrepreneurship, and somebody wrote, my business isn't working. And their business was they said luxury picnics. And it's like, what? And so they said, my business isn't working. Like I really love like picnics, and I want to set up luxury picnics. And everybody in the comments had pretty much the same thought that I had, which is like, that's cool, but there's not really a market for that. And like, how often is somebody like, you know what I want to do? I want to eat outside, and I want somebody to plan that for me. Like, there's no real market for a luxury picnic. And so probably what would make more sense for this person is if they went into like event planning, that they
Right.
could do that type of thing, but there's a market for it. There's no
Yeah.
market for like luxury picnics. So just because you have a cool idea or you're passionate about something doesn't mean that there's a market for that thing. And
Right.
so that's the other piece. Like, you have to be passionate, and there has to be a market. Like, somebody wants to pay you for that skill or whatever it is.
Yeah, and we have a really amazing tool available. Everybody knows what this is by now, AI. And you think, but I'm going to give a caveat to that as well. If you ask AI, is this a great idea? Do you know what it says? Yes,
Yeah,
that's the best idea ever.
yes.
Nobody has ever thought of that idea before. So just beware.
Right.
AI
It's there to
can
like
help
help
you.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there to help you, but it's also and it's a massive cheerleader, but generally it's going to it can send you down some rabbit holes that you really don't want to go on. And you sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you can, however, ask I need a realistic number. How many people could realistically use this service in this geographic area that I can reach? And if the number comes back three, you know,
That's not a realistic
it's not a realistic
business
number.
idea. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But like I'm a recovering teacher. I left teaching 26 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look into helping burned out teachers and I ask AI, hey, let me know how many teachers in the United States right now claim to be burned out? The number is 75%.
Yeah. That's not shocking. It's sad, but it's not
It's
shocking.
sad,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
I know that gives me a really, really, really big market of
Right.
people that I can connect with, genuinely connect with, because it's my passion that people find their passion and don't stay stuck in a job.
Right. Right.
Any regrets? You left your job. I mean, you didn't leave it. You
It left
got forced
me.
out of it. It left you. Any
No,
regrets?
that was my ex-boss honestly did me a huge favor. Like she didn't mean to do me a huge favor, but she did, because I don't know when I would have started my company if I wasn't like forced to, because it's scary to start a
Mhm.
business. So I don't know when I actually would have like taken the leap and done it if I hadn't been pushed out of it.
And for me, and I go back to my faith all the time. I figure it's God's timing for things. But I got forced out of a leadership position one time,
Hmm.
harshly. But it was
Mm.
also 1 month before my daughter's wedding, 6 weeks before I was going to get John Maxwell certified, and 8 weeks before I was moving out of my home of 14 years. Do you
Wow.
think I had a few other things to do at the time?
Just a few.
Like you. You had a marketing to plan for a book. You had a book launch to get together. I mean, there were
Hmm.
things you have to do before the book comes out to be ready. And, again, your former boss probably gave you a gift in giving you some time to actually prepare for that.
She didn't mean to, but
No, 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 no. That was
but
not her
yes,
intention.
it was not her intention to give me a gift. But yes, it ended up being a really positive thing. And at this point, I realized I really could not go back to traditional employment. Like it would be really hard for me to go into a place every day, or even just be at my house but report to somebody. That would be very hard for me at this point in the game. I don't know what that's like anymore. I've been working for myself for a decade pretty much. So it's, yeah, I'm like way, way far removed from traditional employment at this point.
Excellent. Well, I want to hear one of those funny stories, and I want
Mm,
to dig a little bit more into those people in our lives as entrepreneurs who are the naysayers, who are the negative Nellies, if you will. So we're going to take a quick break and then we'll talk about those. Hey, sales setters, want to navigate your success with ease? Download the Sailing System, your practical guide to charting a course, setting goals, and growing with purpose. Find it now at joyminder.com or check the show notes below for your roadmap to results. And we are back. We are having a blast. Entrepreneur to entrepreneur, talking about our journeys, the people in it, how we started, why we started, any regrets we've had. But just before the break, we were kind of talking about, let's say, a negative Nelly in your life. And this is a person who was your boss, but was she an owner? Was she an entrepreneur herself? Okay.
no, no, but I think she wanted to be.
Oh,
And,
okay.
I think that she felt like she had dementia care expertise. And so me going out and doing the thing that maybe she would have wanted to do was very frustrating for her. Before that, I mean, I have an ex-husband and an ex-fiance. And so my ex-fiance at the time, like when I was working 9 to 5, I had already been talking about going out on my own. And he was like, why would you do that?
Mm,
You have a steady job. It'd be stupid to leave it. I was like, yeah, but I just really want to own my own company someday. And I don't know when I'm going to do that, but I really want to do that. He just didn't get it. He was like, well, why? That's dumb. That's dumb. Like, why would you leave a steady gig?
yeah. Did that hold you back?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think even then I hadn't been in the space long enough to really make it make sense. But that was in my head. Like when I got laid off, I was still thinking, oh man, like, maybe this dude was right. Like maybe it's, I should go find another. In fact, like when I got laid off, I remember opening my laptop. I got home and, I'm crying and I'm opening my laptop and I went on Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever. And I'm looking for, another dementia care director job.
Yeah.
And after like 10 minutes, I closed my laptop and I was like, I can't do it. I don't have it in me. Like to go work at a fourth building and
Mhm.
do all this again.
Yeah.
It is time, to do my own thing. And so part of it was just out of pure, like, I don't have it in me. Like, I have entrepreneur energy. I don't have energy to like go back into the traditional employment at another new place.
All right. And there's numbers on that, by the way. 59% of Americans say that they want nothing to do with entrepreneurship. They don't want
Interesting.
it. They don't like it. They have zero interest. If you handed them a, a business in a box, they would be like, ew, somebody else take this, please.
Interesting.
Yeah,
59%.
59%, which means the minority left, 41%, do dream of entrepreneurship. And so they dream of it, but only 6 to 9% of us are self-employed. Now, in that 32%, which is 1 in 3 Americans,
Hmm.
there are people who have side hustles who are starting something, but a vast majority of them are just still thinking about that one day, someday.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Even my mom, my mom who now works for Dementia by Day at the time was like sending me jobs to apply to. She was like, don't you want to work for someone? Don't you want to go to an office every day? And I was like, no, that's literally the opposite of what I want. I mean, even when I was a kid, I'm gonna talk about, funny stories. I
Yeah.
was always an entrepreneur as a kid. Like I was always hustling on something. My sister and I, she's 2.5 years younger than me. So my sister and um, I guess I was in like middle school and she was still in elementary school. So she was probably in like fourth grade and I was probably in sixth grade. And we, you know what? It might have been younger that I might have been in fourth grade and she might have been in like second grade. That's probably more like what it was. We came up with this business of selling what we called clippets. So clippets were those big paper clips. And my sister is very artistic. So she would put googly eyes on them and like string for hair and she'd cut out little outfits and hot glue them. And she like they looked really cute. And so she started doing this and somehow I was like, let's sell these. So I started bringing them into middle school and selling them to my classmates. I was taking pre-orders at one point. Like people wanted customized ones, like ones that look like them, ones that look like their friends. And so I would like take a down payment on these clippets. And like I had like 2 bags. I had like a bag of clippets, a little plastic bag of clippets, which I still have, by the way, and a plastic bag of like cash and coins that I would carry around with me for like weeks. And then one day we're in class and I remember this guy, Bobby was playing with his cliplet on his desk and he was like playing with clippets. And the teacher came by and took them and he goes, no, my clippets. And I had two thoughts. One, that's great brand recognition that he like remembered the name of it and identified that that was what she had taken away, were the clippet brand. And oh no, we're screwed. And so that's when my operation got shut down. I got sent to the principal's office and the principal told me there's no capitalism in middle school. And at the time, I didn't know what she meant, but that stayed with me. And then years later, I was like, oh, I didn't know what capitalism was when I was like, between the ages of 10 and 12, right? Um, whatever I was.
Yeah.
And but yeah, she shut down my operation, unfortunately.
Oh, funny. And you think of all the kids that, I think it's natural, but maybe it's 41% natural that kids want to have the lemonade stand. Or, my thing when I was a kid is we lived near a golf course. I would go out into the river and find golf balls and sell them back to the golfers.
So smart.
And
Yeah,
if they had just lost one and it was a really nice one, it was really expensive to get back. But
yeah,
they didn't mind paying a kid. They didn't mind giving me,
of
I'm
course.
older, and so a quarter was like a really good income. You could, I didn't have to charge $5 or a buck.
No, no,
But
of
they
course.
had
Yeah.
coins. Everybody had coins on them. And yeah, I would lay them out, the ones that I'd found, and they could scoop up a whole it was great. But I think, this is where parents, I think, pay attention to what your kids are doing. And if they show that entrepreneurial spirit, help them.
Hmm.
There we used to have something, I really don't know if it's still around, called Junior Achievement. And it was specifically to foster entrepreneurship in middle school kids. And we had to we had to decide on a thing, we had to sell it, we had goals, we had sales quotas, they did the whole thing with us.
Cool.
And I don't recall if it's still on or if they've changed the name, but I think as entrepreneurs, quite frankly, it's like, wow, I should be volunteering with that group now because it changed my life.
Yeah, I was always hustling on something. I did all lemonade stands that you could do. I mean, we made pet treats at one time and like sold them to our neighbors.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I made a when I was like 13, eBay was pretty new. And you can't be selling on eBay until you're at, like 18 years old.
Hmm.
Or I think maybe you even had to be 16 at least. And so I made an account under my mom's name. She knew about it, of course. And I would go to a local craft store and like buy things and resell them. I'd buy these like fairy posters, don't even ask, and resell them on eBay, and I would turn a profit. So I was selling stuff at 13 years old on eBay. So I always just like always had a business of some kind that I was
Yeah.
that I was working on. Yeah.
Yeah. I just, anyway, parents, please, if your kids are acting like what Rachel and I are talking about, feed them the knowledge that they're
Yeah.
seeking, encourage them. I know my daughters love when I talk about them on my show, but they're both adults. They are both W-2 employees, and that's
Hmm.
just fine. They're happy. They're where they want to be right now. But, I still see the entrepreneur, especially in one, where she just can't help herself. She's always thinking of new things, and she's always
Hmm.
saying, "Oh, I could do this on the side, or I could make some money from this." And
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Someday you may just find yourself doing that officially.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
she's on her journey. And one thing about being a mom of adults is it's really wonderful to watch, to sit back and just watch them take their journey. As parents, I think we try so much to mold and shape, and that's important to guide. But what did your now you mentioned your mom though? She's kind of like, don't you want a job? Do you feel that there was somebody else in your life that really encouraged your entrepreneurial journey?
My dad
Yeah.
it definitely has an entrepreneurial spirit. I joke with my parents that I have the best entrepreneur skills from both of them. Like my mom is very good with time management, getting things done, planning ahead, and like that type of skill set that you need for entrepreneurship. She has no entrepreneurial goals or aspirations at all, never has. My dad, on the other hand, very into entrepreneurship, worked on a number of businesses. He is very, yeah, always coming up. He's a great salesperson. He's always coming up with new ideas, but he lacks any time management skills. And he knows he's not, that's not news to him. So I said, I got the best of both of you. Like I got the time management and I got I got the sales and entrepreneurial skills. And so together that makes a good business owner. But one of those sets is not enough
Right.
to run a business. You really need both. And I also tell people when people are like, well, what skills, do you need to run a business? One of the things too, I'd say is sales. You need sales skills. And if sales scares you, don't even do it. Because if you're afraid of getting in, like getting in there and pushing and being a shark, as I say, with the sales, your business is not going to work. Because if you can't make money, you don't have a business. And so if you can't sell, like ABC, always be closing, right? And if you're not closing, your business isn't going anywhere. So you have to be a closer. I will say my parents both really encouraged me to do whatever it was that I wanted to do. And when I was a kid, that was acting. So I was a child actor. And I had an agent for about a decade. It
Oh.
really only stopped because I went to college and I didn't have a car or like time to like act. But yeah, I was an actress for a long time. And really still am. I still do like little projects and things, but that in a lot of ways was also sort of like entrepreneurship, kind of
Oh, for sure.
doing my own thing. And I learned a lot of great skills being a child actor. Like I would walk into a room full of adults, stand up straight, introduce myself, and shake hands. So I was like 8 years old, shaking hands with adults, making eye contact and learning to kind of stand up for myself in a room of people. And so I
Wow.
think that really helped as well.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, that's something I didn't know about you. We didn't
Yeah,
even
that's
talk
a
about
fun
that in
fact. That's a
introduction.
fun
Fun
fact. I
fact.
forget about it sometimes. I forget about that fun fact because it's been a
Yeah.
while. Yeah.
And likewise, and we've always known I was an entrepreneur. I left teaching.
Hmm.
I went into sales. I earned a few things in sales, mostly behind me, you can see.
Nice.
By the way, you also go through these things in entrepreneurship where you're like, I do just want a job. Just somebody, please,
Oh, for
just
sure.
put food, just put food on my plate, please.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes you're just like, why am I? I've had moments where I'm like, why am I doing
what am I
this?
doing? Right. And so I actually reapplied to a company, the one that actually gave me
Mm,
this, and I got a fast no. And I think it's just
interesting.
because they look at my resume and they're like, she hasn't worked for anybody
Yeah. Like,
since
no. Right.
2006. Yeah, it's not
Mm,
going to happen.
right.
And so, again, there's a pro and con to hiring entrepreneurial people. I think an entrepreneurial salesperson can be very, very beneficial
Sure.
because as a salesperson, you're out there, you're hustling, you find it. And if you're not, again, if what Rachel said is like, oh, you got to do sales, and you're thinking, ew, sales, it's a four-letter word. It's not, it's five. But go listen to, I mean, there's some classic books on sales. Go listen to
Yes.
Brian Tracy, changed my life. And he has a book or an audio you can find on YouTube for free
Hmm.
about closing, closing techniques.
Yep.
And it's not as awful as you think. And there's many,
Right.
many, many ways to do it very well. And that's it, doing things like that is really, I wasn't excited about doing sales either, but man, I found I had a gift for it once I started applying what I learned.
I knew I was good at sales, but I didn't really get an opportunity to practice it until I was selling cars in grad school. So,
Awesome.
my first year of grad school, I needed really a part-time gig.
Yeah.
And my mom had found on, it might have been LinkedIn, a part-time internet sales consultant gig at a Toyota dealership near me. And she sent me the job description. She was like, "Oh, you'd probably be good at this, and you could do it from home. You can do it, you might need to go into the dealership, but it's part-time." And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, cool." I applied and I went in for an interview. It went really well, and they pretty much hired me on the spot. I went through a week of training, and by the way, at the time, I knew nothing about cars. Like I knew
Mhm.
nothing about cars. Now I actually know a decent amount, and eventually, like I got to a point where I knew a lot about cars. Like I could knew like every make and model of car on the road. And I would practice. I'd drive down the road and go like, that's this, that's this, that's this. But got to the end of that pretty intense week-long training. And I remember they handed me my schedule. And I said, this is a this is a 40-hour work week, you guys. Like you're saying I'm a sales consultant. My desk goes over there. Like this isn't what I signed up for. And they said, well, we changed the role. So either take it or don't.
Oh,
And I was like,
wow.
oh, okay. So I was 22 and worked at this Toyota dealership for almost a year.
Wow.
I got laid off from there from another not so nice female boss. But
Because,
she decided she didn't like me. I mean, truly, like she had no grounds to fire me.
oh,
And
okay.
in fact, she tried to fight my collecting unemployment.
Oh,
So
no.
we had to have a phone call with an unemployment judge. So it was
Yeah.
me, unemployment judge, and this woman. And I crushed it on that call. And the judge was like, okay, well, why did you lay her off? And the woman's like, well, she was doing homework at the dealership, and he was like, well, was her output still the same? And I had sent the judge all the receipts of the cars that I'd sold. And
Yeah.
I averaged 8.5 cars a month, half
Yeah.
a car because you can split deals with people. So I
Okay.
sold 8.5 cars a month. And one month I sold 13 cars. Like that's a lot of cars.
What's average? What would it be an average for? Do you remember?
like five, like people were selling like 5 cars a month. I
Okay.
was
And
averaging
you're
eight and a
almost
half.
double. Right.
Oh, I was crushing it.
Crushing it.
I was really good to the point where I earned the respect of some of the good old boys who
Yeah.
had worked there for like my entire lifetime. And when they first saw me, they're like, what's she doing in here? You know, but eventually I really came to earn a lot of respect because they were like, okay, never mind. Like she can sell. So anyway, I got laid off. The unemployment judge was like, well, was she still doing the same output that she was before she started doing her homework? And of course, my boss like was like, well, yeah, but like didn't have any legs to stand on. So
That's awesome.
I got my
Everything is
unemployment.
sales.
Everything is sales. I
Everything.
was like, girl, I'm selling right now on this
Yeah.
call with the with the unemployment judge.
Right.
So but yeah, I had a couple of the guys at the dealership say to me, why are you going to grad school? Like, quit grad school, just sell cars. You're good at this. Like, just sell cars. And I was like, I don't want to sell cars for the rest of my life. They were like, well, what you can make tons of money. You can make so much money, Rachel. Like, just keep
Oh,
selling cars. And it just wasn't my passion, but it was
right.
fun. It was fun. There were a lot of, you want to learn about crazy stories. Like, there was some crazy stuff that I just like learned about, was involved in, whatever at the dealership. That place was nuts. But
It's sus. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
I know what that means. Okay.
Oh, it was just there was so much stuff that it was like, what? Nothing regarding like the sales of cars. It was more just like the people that would come in, the people that worked there. There was just so many things. But I learned so much. I
Mm-hmm.
learned so much about sales and about people and about communication. And that really helped me
Oh,
later in
wonderful.
life
Yeah.
with my business. Like, yeah,
Really, there is really no better training for entrepreneurship than sales. It truly is.
for sure.
I think many of us have had sales jobs, rocked sales jobs before stuff, and
Hmm.
it is a really great benefit. But if you don't have that experience, go find it. I mean, sales
Yes.
jobs are available. The average life of a person in a sales position is 2 years or less.
Hmm.
Because salespeople can be very restless. They're always looking a little bit to the greener pasture and, oh, I can make more money over there. I remember I worked for Yellow Book Yellow Pages, and one of our top people, and she was crushing it. She was making so much money, and she left to do airplane sales.
Airplane sales.
Airplane sales.
I met somebody over the weekend who did headstone sales.
Oh, well, there you go.
And I was like, I didn't realize that was a thing. I mean, I guess it makes sense that it's a thing. I just never thought about it. I thought it was just sort of something that was included, you know, with the funeral home. But yeah, there's all sorts of
There's
sales
so
jobs.
many things you can do. And yeah, look on Indeed. But not if you've been an entrepreneur because they won't hire you.
No, they don't
Apparently.
want to know. No, because they think you're going to steal all their clients. Probably.
If one reason I can't get hired in certain fields is because they see that I've been doing it as an entrepreneur.
Right.
True. If
Right.
I
Right.
were to find a position in sales, it would have to be something like headstone
Way
sales.
right. It'd be something totally different where they
Or
were like,
something
okay,
so
like
different than what I know.
right.
And, I'd have to be willing to do all the training and learn all the things. And
Right.
to some degree, I'm a learner, so I don't mind learning new things, but you have to be willing to do that really if you're going to go back into it. I know our time is flying by. I have two more things I'd love to ask you.
Yeah.
We're going to end with that fun story maybe you've been mulling around to share with us, maybe from your book, a little preview, or
Yeah.
maybe something that doesn't make the book. But before we get there, you left, your W-2 in 2016. You published your first book. You've published two more since then. You've become known as a dementia expert. You've worked with nursing homes all the place, but you're shifting again, aren't you?
I'm kind of more I'm spending a little more
Morphing.
time and energy. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm evolving, right?
There we
Like
go.
I'm very much invested staying in the dementia care space. I
Got it.
just want to be able to talk about something that's not dementia because I have expertise in business.
Yeah.
And when I, first started pitching this book, I had somebody, an agent who was interested. And our first conversation went great. Our second conversation, she had talked to her boss and came back and she said, why don't you just write another book about dementia? And I was like, because I don't have another book about dementia in me and I don't need an agent for that. Johns Hopkins is my publisher. They are more than happy to publish another book about dementia with me, I'm sure. That's not the point, right? I'm not trying to do that. And she just, she really wanted me to, she was like, well, but you have such a great audience, in the dementia care space. And I was like, I know, I want to talk about the business. She was like, well, but you're a dementia expert. I said, yeah, but I'm also a business expert. I've been running a business for 10 years.
Right.
I've been running a business for 10 years. It just happens to be a business in dementia.
Yep.
And she struggled with, I think, that concept of like, but wait, you can do more than one thing,
What? Yeah. As entrepreneurs, we know we can do way more than one thing.
Yes.
Well, when we first met, I know we had a fun conversation just to, get to know each other before we did this recording. And we also commented on, sometimes the challenges of being younger looking women. I'm older looking than you because I am, and that's cool. I own every bit of gray I've got. Yay.
Yeah, it looks good.
But it's even today people think I'm younger than I am, which is fun. Anyway, but that was kind of a fun story from when we met. But do you want to share a little story, a fun entrepreneurship story before we wrap up here?
Sure. Yes, people always, I found that, especially when I was even younger and before, like I was wearing a wedding ring, this somehow ages you somehow. But I would be on stage and people, I could tell, were like trying to do math, like they're trying to like align my resume with my face. And I would get off stage and I once had somebody come up to me and go, hey, that was great. So how old are you? And I was like, really? And so for a while in the beginning, especially in my late 20s, I would get up on stage and be like, let me just clear this up. Like I'm, whatever I was, like I'm 28, and people would gasp. And I'm like, I'm 28, just so you know. Yes, I have a master's, blah, blah, blah. So one of my this is one of like the weirdest stories. When I was still working as a dementia care director, I had so when you work in senior living, a lot of times like vendors come in to like help the people who live there, the residents. And so in this case, we had a couple dentists, like a dentist group, come in to do dental, cleanings and work for the residents who weren't going out to the practice, who couldn't get out for whatever reason. And so we had this dentist come in. I saw him, probably like once a month, once every 6 weeks or so. And I would bring my residents up to, where he was sitting and seeing residents. And one day his dental assistant, this other guy, said, you seem really great at what you do. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And he said, we have like a really unique opportunity for you that we'd love to talk about. And I was like, oh, okay. But I mean, I'm working here full time. I don't know how I would do anything else. And he's like, well, no, it wouldn't interfere with this job. You can still work here. And I was like, okay. He's like, let's have a call. Can I get your info so I can call you later to talk about it? And I was like, okay, sure. At this point, I'm like 26 years old. So I gave this guy my phone number. Like a day later, it's the evening and he calls and he's like, okay, I'm really excited to talk about this opportunity now. I said, yeah, me too. Tell me more about it. And he was like, all right, well, let's me and, the dentist like meet up for coffee and we could talk about it. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't think we really need to do all that. You could just tell me more about it over the phone and then we could decide if we should meet. And he's like really pushing this coffee meeting. And I was like, how about you just tell me what it is? And he's like, well, it's a really great opportunity for you. And I was like, okay, great. I hear you saying it's a great opportunity. What opportunity is it? And he's like, well, it's a business opportunity so that you can make some money on the side. And I was like, okay, how? What is it? And he was like, well, I mean, why can't you just like come and meet us? And I was like, because I'm not going to do that, my dude. Like, what is this? And at this point I'm getting mad because I'm like, what is this? What kind of nonsense is going on here?
I'm
So
sitting
for
here guessing. I'm like, what is it? What is it? Okay,
well,
go.
spoiler alert, I never found out. So I was like, so then he kind of switches on me and he gets kind of nasty and he's like, well, it seems like you're not a good fit for this opportunity. And I was like, I started laughing because I was like, man, I don't even know what this opportunity is that you're trying to pitch me on. What are you talking about? And he was like, well, you're not a good fit anyway. So I don't know. And then he essentially hung up on me. And at the time, my boyfriend at the time had been in the other room and he was like listening to like my half of the conversation. And he was like, what was that? And I said, I legitimately have no idea. And he was like, well, what was the job? And I was like, I don't know. And I know now it was probably like an MLM. It was probably like
That's
a
my
multi-level
guess.
marketing
Yeah.
thing. And he didn't like my questions. But
Yeah.
it was just so funny. And at the time I didn't know anything about that. So I remember hanging up and being like, what the what's
Word to MLM people, network marketers, however we want to, and I say we because I am one. I love network marketing. I think it is a really great entry level for some people, but don't do what Rachel just described. That's icky. It's just icky. It is a fit for people or it isn't a fit for people. If you say it up front, you have a lot more integrity with the person. And when you're working with an influencer, like Rachel, because she has a network, because she has an audience, don't mess around. Be upfront.
it was so bizarre. I mean, at first I thought he was just asking me out. Like I thought
Yeah,
he was like
I was waiting for that too. I'm
trying
like,
to hook up, and I was like, well, no, I'm not going to do that either, but I eventually realized it actually was about a business, but I never found out. I don't think I ever even like saw them again.
"Oh,
So I never got to find out what it was, which is a
yeah.
bummer because now I'm just really curious. I wrote this in my book and I was
Oh,
just like,
good.
I wish that I could tell what this was, but I just never, hilariously, I just never found out.
Excellent. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so, I mean, fascinating, really. Ah,
Yeah.
well, we're going to have all of your contact information, of course, below in this podcast on YouTube. If you want to see Rachel, well, you can probably go to IMDb, I'm guessing.
Sadly,
Oh,
no. But you can go to my website, go to Rachael Wonderlin, Rachel with an extra A, Rachael, Wonderlin, LIN.com. You can also just Google some version of my name and I'll come up. You'll find Dementia by Day. You'll find my like portfolio. You find I'm trying to get big into Substack. You can find me on Substack.
I'm exploring that right now too. Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
it's an interesting platform for
It
sure.
is, for sure. Excellent. Yeah, but we'll have all her contact information below. Rachel, I hope you'll definitely let us know when your book comes out so that we can
Yes.
talk more about it. We'd love to share it on our social media, so please let us know so we can be part of promoting that
Great.
and encouraging what you're doing. Your ideal person that you're looking to meet with right now, who is that?
An agent. An
I got
agent.
you on that one.
An
Actually, I
agent.
have a wonderful
Yeah.
introduction to make for you.
Oh, thank
One of
you.
my
Yeah.
former guests. So, anybody else looking for a book deal, go back. I had an amazing guest back in
Awesome.
August of 2025. Go check her out. She was also part of my summit in September. So, it was lovely.
Cool.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you, Rachel. It's so much fun hanging out with you,
Yes. It was
sharing
great
our
to talk.
stories. I look forward to reading your book so much, and we will keep in touch.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so for our guests and listeners, also, thank you for joining us on this Beyond the Business Plan show to unleash your joyful business potential. Remember, entrepreneurship is a voyage you can take with others. So find your tribe for the journey and give us a like or subscribe or whatever you do on your favorite podcast or video form to keep shining and aligning with your purpose and with Joyminder Solutions. And come on back. We'll be here next week as well. Keep spreading the joy, keep leading with heart, and I will catch you on the next wave of success. Hey, sales setters, do you need energy without the crash? Check out the lifestyle section in our resources on joyminder.com/resources for delicious, healthier coffee alternatives to boost your focus and fuel your hustle. Skip the jitters, love your brew. You can also go directly to whyilovemycoffee.com, and I'll see you there. Thank you for sailing with us, sales setters. Remember, your journey goes beyond the business plan. So keep charting your own course, leading with heart, and tuning in for more joy and inspiration. Find all the resources and connections in the show notes below, and your support means the world to us. So join our conversation at #JoyMinder, or simply share your favorite takeaways in the comments section below. Until next time, set your sails for success.